Lisa Martinez pressed her face against the cold metal window of the space station. Outside, she could see hundreds of alien ships floating in the darkness. Each ship was different. Some looked like giant metal spiders. Others glowed with strange lights. A few were so big they blocked out the stars behind them. She had never seen anything like it before. 3 months ago, Lisa was just another soldier on Earth. She fought in wars between human countries and thought that was the biggest thing in the universe. Now she knew how wrong she had been. The door behind her opened with a soft hiss. Jake Morrison walked in carrying a tablet computer. He was a captain in Earth's Space Force, but he looked tired and worried. His uniform was wrinkled and his hair was messy. "Still looking at the ships?" Jake asked. He stood next to Lisa at the window. "I can't stop," Lisa said. "Every time I think I've seen them all, another one appears. How many different alien races are out there?" Jake checked his tablet. "The tournament has representatives from 47 different worlds, but there are hundreds more that didn't send anyone. Some think humans are too new to bother with." Lisa turned away from the window. The space station was huge, but she felt trapped inside it. The walls were made of some kind of white metal that seemed to glow with its own light. Strange symbols were written everywhere, but she couldn't read any of them. "Tell me about the tournament again," Lisa said. She had heard the explanation many times, but she wanted to make sure she understood everything. Jake sat down in one of the floating chairs that the aliens used. It adjusted itself to fit his human body. Every year, the strongest fighters from across the galaxy meet here. They fight each other in single combat. The winners get respect for their entire species. The losers get treated like children for decades. And Earth has never been invited before? Never. We only learned how to travel between stars 3 years ago. Most of these aliens have been doing it for thousands of years. They think we're babies playing with toys we don't understand. Lisa walked around the room. It was hard to get used to the artificial gravity. Sometimes it felt too light, sometimes too heavy. "What happens if I lose badly?" Jake was quiet for a long moment. "Earth becomes a joke. Nobody will trade with us. Nobody will share technology with us. We'll be stuck in our little corner of space while everyone else moves forward." "No pressure at all," Lisa said with a bitter laugh. The tablet in Jake's hands beeped. He looked at the screen and his face got even more worried. The tournament bracket just came out. Your first fight is against Thexvar. Who is that? A Valorian warrior. His people look like giant lizards with armor built into their skin. Thexvar has won 23 fights in a row. He's never even been seriously hurt. Lisa felt her stomach drop. "What are my chances?" Jake didn't answer right away. When he did, his voice was very quiet. "The betting pools have you at 1,000 to 1 odds. Most people think you'll be dead in the first minute." They were interrupted by another beep from Jake's tablet. This time, a hologram appeared above the screen. It showed the face of an alien that looked like a cross between a dragon and a snake. Its eyes were bright yellow and its teeth were sharp. "Greetings, human female," the alien said. Its voice sounded like rocks grinding together. "I am Thexvar of the Valorian Empire. I have studied recordings of your species. You are soft and weak. Your bones break easily. Your skin tears like paper. I will try to make your death quick, as a courtesy to a new species." The hologram disappeared. Jake and Lisa sat in silence for several minutes. "He seems nice," Lisa finally said. Jake almost smiled, but not quite. "Most of the aliens here think humans are a mistake. They can't understand how we learned to build spaceships when we're so physically weak compared to them." Lisa stood up and walked back to the window. More ships had arrived while they were talking. She could see one that looked like a giant crystal, spinning slowly as it moved. Another one seemed to be made of liquid metal that constantly changed shape. "What do you know about human history, Jake?" Lisa asked. "Enough to know we've had a lot of wars. We've had wars with people who were bigger than us, stronger than us, better armed than us. Sometimes we won anyway. Do you know why?" Jake shook his head. "Because humans are stubborn. We don't know when to quit. When everyone else would give up, we keep fighting. When something should be impossible, we find a way to do it anyway." Lisa turned away from the window and looked at Jake. Thexavar thinks he knows everything about humans because he watched some videos, but videos can't show him the most important thing about us. What's that? We learn fast, and we never give up. Not ever. Jake looked at her with something that might have been hope. The other aliens are going to be watching this fight very carefully. If you can surprise them, even if you lose, it might change how they think about us. I'm not planning to lose, Lisa said. She walked over to the equipment locker in the corner of the room. Inside was her combat gear. Human technology looked primitive compared to what the aliens had, but it was what she knew how to use. The plasma rifle felt comfortable in her hands. The body armor was lightweight but strong. The combat knife had been with her through 3 different wars on Earth. I should probably get some rest, Lisa said. The fight is tomorrow morning. Jake stood up to leave, but stopped at the door. Lisa, all of Earth is counting on you. I know that's a lot of pressure, but I wanted you to know that we believe in you. After he left, Lisa sat alone in the room. Through the window, she could see the arena where the fights would happen. It was a massive structure made of glowing crystal and metal. Tomorrow, she would step into that arena and fight for the respect of her entire species. She thought about all the humans back on Earth who were watching and waiting. Her family, her friends, her fellow soldiers. They were all depending on her to show the galaxy that humans belonged among the stars. Lisa picked up her combat knife and looked at her reflection in the blade. She had been in hopeless situations before. She had faced enemies who seemed impossible to defeat. Sometimes she had won, sometimes she had lost, but she had never quit. Tomorrow would be no different. The arena was bigger than any stadium Lisa had ever seen on Earth. The floor was made of smooth black stone that reflected the bright lights above. Around the edges, thousands of aliens sat in seats that floated in the air. Their voices created a sound like thunder as they talked and cheered. Lisa walked through the tunnel that led to the fighting area. Her boots made soft clicking sounds on the metal floor. She wore her human military gear, light armor that covered her chest and arms, a helmet with a clear face shield, and her plasma rifle strapped to her back. Everything felt heavier than usual. At the end of the tunnel, she could see the arena floor waiting for her. Bright artificial suns hung from the ceiling, making everything look sharp and clear. The air smelled strange, like metal and electricity, mixed together. Helen Cross sat in the human section of the arena, gripping the rail in front of her so hard her knuckles were white. She was Earth's ambassador to the galactic community, but right now she felt helpless. Next to her sat Dr. Peter Hayes, a scientist who studied alien technology. Kate Williams, an engineer, checked and rechecked her tablet computer. Frank Chen, a diplomat, tried to look calm but his hands were shaking. How many people are watching this back on Earth? Dr. Hayes asked. 3 billion, Ambassador Cross said without looking away from the arena. Maybe more. In the tunnel across from Lisa, something moved in the shadows. She could hear heavy footsteps and the sound of claws scraping against metal. Her heart started beating faster, but she forced herself to breathe slowly. She had been scared before fights on Earth too. Fear was normal. What mattered was not letting it control her. Thexavar stepped out of his tunnel and onto the arena floor. Lisa's first thought was that the videos had not prepared her for how big he really was. The Valorian warrior stood almost 8 feet tall. His skin was covered in natural armor that looked like dark green metal plates. His arms were as thick as tree trunks, ending in hands with claws longer than Lisa's fingers. A spiked tail swished behind him as he walked. The crowd's noise got louder when they saw Thexavar. Many of the aliens were cheering for him. Lisa could hear them calling his name in different languages. Some sounded like growling, others like music, but they all seemed happy to see the famous fighter. When Lisa stepped onto the arena floor, the crowd got much quieter. She looked tiny compared to Thexavar. Her human armor seemed like paper next to his natural weapons. Some of the aliens laughed. Others just stared at her like she was a strange animal they had never seen before. Floating crystal appeared between the two fighters. It glowed with blue light and spoke in a voice that sounded like wind chimes. Welcome to the ground melee. Combat will continue until one fighter cannot continue. No outside help is allowed. Victory comes by surrender, unconsciousness, or death. Do both fighters understand? Yes, Lisa said. Thexvar nodded his massive head. The human will not suffer long, he said in a voice like grinding stone. The crystal floated up toward the ceiling. Begin combat. Lisa raised her plasma rifle and took aim at Thexvar's center of mass. She had practiced this shot thousands of times. The weapon hummed as it charged up, ready to fire a bolt of superheated energy. But Thexvar was already moving. The Valorian warrior was faster than anything that big should have been. His powerful legs launched him across the arena floor like a missile. Lisa barely had time to fire one shot before he reached her. The energy bolt hit his chest armor and bounced off without leaving a mark. Thexvar's backhand strike caught Lisa across the chest and sent her flying through the air. The impact drove all the air from her lungs and made her vision go black for a moment. She hit the energy barrier at the edge of the arena and bounced off, landing hard on the stone floor. Pain shot through her ribs and left arm. Her plasma rifle flew out of her hands and skittered across the arena floor. When it hit the wall, sparks flew from its broken parts. Lisa tried to breathe, but could only make small, gasping sounds. The crowd erupted in cheers. Most of the aliens were on their feet, celebrating what looked like the end of the fight. In the human section, Ambassador Cross closed her eyes and put her head in her hands. Dr. Hayes stared at the arena floor in shock. This was exactly what they had feared would happen. Thexvar walked slowly toward where Lisa lay on the ground. He was not in any hurry. In his experience, most fighters stayed down after taking a hit like that. The few who tried to get up were usually too hurt to be dangerous. You fought bravely for such a weak creature, Thexvar said, looking down at Lisa. I will tell others of your courage. But Lisa's eyes were still open. Blood ran down her face, from a cut above her eyebrow, but she was watching everything around her. Her mind was working even though her body felt broken. She had learned something important from that first exchange. Thexvar was strong and fast, but he fought like someone who always won easily. He expected his enemies to give up after the first big hit. That was a weakness Lisa could use if she could survive long enough. Lisa rolled onto her side and pushed herself up with her good arm. Her left arm hung uselessly at her side, probably broken. Her ribs felt like someone had hit them with a hammer. But she was still alive, and she was still thinking. The crowd got quieter when they saw her stand up. This was not supposed to happen. Most species would have stayed down after taking that much damage. Thexvar tilted his head to one side like a dog hearing a strange sound. You should not be able to move, he said. Lisa spat blood onto the arena floor and wiped her mouth with the back of her right hand. You should have hit me harder, she said. She pulled her combat knife from its sheath on her belt. The blade was only 6 inches long, tiny compared to Thexvar's natural weapons. But it was sharp, and Lisa knew how to use it. For the first time, since the fight began, Thexvar looked uncertain. He had fought many different species over the years, but he had never met anyone who got back up after taking his best shot. The human female should have been unconscious or dead. Instead, she was standing there with a small knife, looking at him like she was planning something. Interesting, Thexvar said. Perhaps humans are not as weak as I thought. Lisa wiped more, blood from her eyes, and shifted her weight to her good leg. Her body hurt everywhere, but her mind was clear. She was starting to understand how Thexvar fought, and understanding was the first step to winning. You have no idea what humans can do, Lisa said. The crowd held its breath as the two fighters faced each other again. The real fight was just beginning. Lisa stood on shaking legs, her knife held ready in her right hand. Her left arm was definitely broken, and every breath sent sharp pain through her ribs. Blood from the cut on her forehead kept running into her eyes, making it hard to see clearly. But her mind was working faster than it ever had before. She watched how Thexvar moved as he circled around her. His steps were heavy but controlled. When he had rushed at her the first time, she noticed his powerful legs had pushed him forward in a straight line. He was built for charging attacks, not for quick direction changes. Thexvar was getting impatient. In all his years of fighting, no opponent had ever gotten back up after his opening strike. He was used to quick victories that made the crowd cheer for his strength. This human was making him look bad by refusing to stay down. "You are making this harder than it needs to be," Thexvar said, flexing his claws. "Just surrender now, and I will make your death quick." "I don't know how to surrender," Lisa replied, wiping blood from her eyes with her sleeve. The Valorian warrior lunged forward again, but this time Lisa was ready. She had been watching his muscles, learning the signals that came before he attacked. When his powerful leg muscles tensed, she knew he was about to charge. Instead of trying to run away or block his attack, Lisa dropped down and rolled to the side. Thexvar's claws swept through the air where her head had been a second before. His momentum carried him past her, and for a moment his back was turned. Lisa struck with her knife, aiming for the soft spot behind his knee where the armor plates didn't quite meet. The blade went deep into the muscle and tendon. Thexvar roared in pain and surprise, stumbling as his leg gave way beneath him. The crowd's cheering stopped. This was not supposed to happen. Thexvar was one of the strongest fighters in the galaxy. A tiny human with a small knife should not be able to hurt him. Lisa rolled away before Thexvar could grab her with his tail. She came up in a crouch, her knife dripping with alien blood. Her own injuries still hurt, but seeing that she could actually damage her opponent gave her hope. Thexvar turned to face her, limping slightly on his injured leg. Green blood ran down from the wound, but already Lisa could see it starting to close up. His people could heal from injuries that would kill a human. "Clever," Thexvar admitted, testing his weight on the injured leg. "But you cannot win by making small cuts. My body will heal them faster than you can make them." "Maybe," Lisa said. "But healing uses energy, doesn't it?" Mike Davis sat in the human section of the arena watching the fight with growing excitement. He had served with Lisa in 3 different wars on Earth. He knew exactly what she was doing, even if the aliens didn't understand it yet. "She's not trying to kill him with one big attack," he explained to Ambassador Cross. "She's going to wear him down bit by bit. Lisa always fights the long game." Ambassador Cross looked confused. "But look how much bigger he is. How can she possibly win?" "Because she learns faster than her enemies adapt," Mike said. "I've seen her do this before. Every fight teaches her something new about her opponent, and Lisa never makes the same mistake twice." Back in the arena, Thexvar attacked again, but this time his charge was slower because of his injured leg. Lisa sidestepped his claws and slashed at his other leg, opening another small wound. When he spun around to hit her with his tail, she ducked under it and cut at his side where the armor was thinner. Each attack was small, but they were adding up. Thexvar was bleeding from a dozen different cuts now. His healing factor was working overtime, closing wounds as fast as Lisa could make them, but the process was making him tired. "You fight like a coward," Thexvar snarled, breathing harder than before. "Stand still and face me like a warrior." "I am facing you," Lisa said, circling around him like a hunter, just not the way you expected. She was learning more about him with every exchange. His claws were deadly weapons, but they were designed for slashing, not precision work. His tail was powerful, but it had a limited range of motion. Most importantly, he was used to winning quickly through brute force. He had never learned how to fight a long, careful battle. Lisa's next target was his eyes. When Thexvar lunged at her again, she didn't go for his legs or sides. Instead, she jumped up and slashed at his face. Her knife scraped across his snout, barely missing his left eye but leaving a deep cut that bled heavily into his vision. Thexvar staggered backward, pawing at his face with one massive hand. Blood was running into his eye, making it hard for him to see clearly. For the first time since the fight began, he looked worried. The crowd was completely silent now. Many of the aliens were leaning forward in their floating seats, trying to understand what they were seeing. The human should have been dead 10 minutes ago. Instead, she was making one of their greatest champions look clumsy and slow. Lisa's own condition was getting worse. Her broken arm throbbed with every heartbeat. Her ribs made it hard to breathe. She was losing blood from multiple cuts where Thexvar's claws had come close to hitting her. But her mind remained sharp and focused. She could see that Thexvar was getting frustrated. His attacks were becoming wilder and less controlled. He was using more energy with each failed attempt to catch her. His natural healing was still working, but it was slowing down as his body's resources got used up. Impossible, Thexvar gasped, wiping blood from his wounded eye. You are just a human. You have no strength, no armor, no special abilities. How are you still fighting? Lisa smiled through her pain and exhaustion. Because I'm too stubborn to quit. And because you're not as good as you think you are. The Valorian warrior's face twisted with rage. He had never been insulted like this before, especially not by someone from a species he considered primitive. His pride was hurt as much as his body. Thexvar gathered himself for one final, desperate attack. He ignored the pain from his injuries and charged at Lisa with everything he had left. His claws extended to their full length. His tail lashed behind him for balance. This would be his last chance to end the fight quickly. But Lisa had been waiting for exactly this moment. She had pushed Thexvar to the point where anger would overcome his tactical thinking. As he rushed toward her, she didn't try to dodge to the side like before. Instead, she dropped flat on her back and held her combat knife straight up with both hands, ignoring the pain from her broken arm. Thexvar's own momentum would do the rest. The massive Valorian warrior couldn't stop his charge in time. He crashed down on top of Lisa, driving her knife deep into his chest just below the shoulder. The blade went in all the way to the handle, finding the gap between armor plates that Lisa had been studying throughout the fight. Thexvar roared in agony and rolled off her, clutching at the knife buried in his chest. Green blood poured from the wound faster than his healing factor could handle. The blade had damaged something important inside him. Lisa lay on her back, gasping for air. Thexvar's weight had made her injuries worse, but she was still conscious. She could hear the crowd making sounds she had never heard before. Confusion, surprise, and something that might have been respect. Slowly, painfully, Lisa rolled over and pushed herself up to her knees. Across from her, Thexvar was struggling to pull the knife from his chest. His face was pale green and his breathing was labored. Yield, Lisa said quietly. You've lost too much blood to keep fighting. Thexvar looked at her with something between hatred and admiration. Then he raised his hand and struck the arena floor 3 times, the universal signal for surrender. The crystal referee floated down from the ceiling. Victory to the human competitor Lisa Martinez. The arena exploded in noise as thousands of aliens tried to process what they had just witnessed. In the human section, Ambassador Cross was crying with relief. Dr. Hayes was jumping up and down. Mike Davis just smiled and nodded, proud of the soldier he had trained. Lisa Martinez had done the impossible. She had defeated a champion who had never lost a fight, and she had done it the human way, through determination, intelligence, and refusing to give up no matter how hopeless things looked. 2 days had passed since Lisa's victory over Thexvar. The human medical team had fixed her broken arm and bandaged her ribs, but she still felt sore all over. Word of her win had spread throughout the galaxy faster than anyone expected. Aliens, who had never heard of Earth before, were now asking questions about humans. Lisa sat in her quarters, reviewing video recordings of her next opponent. Veltara was a Nexari fighter who looked almost human, except for her pale blue skin and completely black eyes. But appearances were deceiving. The Nexari could phase through solid matter, becoming like ghosts when they wanted to avoid attacks. Jake Morrison knocked on her door and walked in without waiting for permission. He looked excited and worried at the same time. The betting pools have changed, he said, sitting down across from her. You're no longer the worst odds in the tournament. Some aliens are actually betting on you to win your next fight. That's good, I guess, Lisa said, not looking away from the video screen. What do you know about phase shifting? Our scientists think it's some kind of quantum ability. The Nexari can change the vibration of their atoms to move through solid objects. When they're phased, normal weapons can't touch them. Lisa paused the video and leaned back in her chair. But they have to become solid again to attack, right? That's what we think. But Veltara is fast. She can phase and unphase in fractions of a second. Most opponents never get a chance to hit her. The door chimed, and Ambassador Cross walked in. She looked much happier than she had 2 days ago. Lisa's victory had already changed how other alien diplomats talked to her. "The Galactic Council wants to meet with you after the tournament," Ambassador Cross said. "Win or lose, they're impressed that a human could defeat Thexvar. Some of them are starting to think we might be worth talking to as equals." Lisa stood up and walked to the window. She could see the arena in the distance, already being prepared for the next day's fights. "I'm not done yet. There are still 3 more opponents between me and the championship. Nobody expects you to win the whole thing," Ambassador Cross said gently. "What you've already done is enough to change Earth's future." "Maybe," Lisa said. "But I didn't come here to be good enough. I came here to win." The next morning, Lisa walked into the arena feeling more confident than before. Her victory over Thexvar had taught her something important. She could compete with aliens who seemed much stronger than humans. The key was not trying to match their natural abilities, but finding ways to work around them. Veltara waited for her on the other side of the arena floor. The Nexari fighter was tall and thin, wearing a tight-fitting suit that seemed to shimmer like liquid mercury. She moved with fluid grace, like a dancer or a cat. "I watched your fight with the Valorian," Veltara said in a voice like music. "You are clever for a solid-state being, but cleverness will not help you catch what you cannot touch." The crystal referee appeared between them. "Combat will begin in 30 seconds. Are both fighters ready?" Lisa nodded and drew her new plasma rifle. The human engineers had built it, specifically for this fight, based on what they had learned about Nexari physiology. She hoped their theories were correct. "Begin combat," the referee announced. Veltara immediately phased through the arena floor, disappearing completely from sight. Lisa stood perfectly still, watching and listening. She could hear the crowd making confused noises. Many of them had never seen a Nexari fight before. A faint shimmer appeared in the air behind Lisa. She spun around and fired her plasma rifle, but the energy bolt passed harmlessly through empty air. Veltara materialized for just a moment, long, enough to slash at Lisa with energy claws, then phased away again before Lisa could counterattack. Pain shot through Lisa's shoulder where the claws had connected. Her armor was torn and she could feel blood running down her arm. This was going to be harder than fighting Thexvar. At least he had stayed solid during their entire fight. Veltara appeared on Lisa's left side, attacked, and vanished again. Then she materialized behind Lisa, struck once more and phased away. Each attack was quick and precise, designed to cause damage without giving Lisa a chance to fight back. After 5 minutes of this hit-and-run tactics, Lisa was covered in small cuts and growing frustrated. She couldn't hit an enemy. She couldn't see or predict. The crowd was cheering for Veltara, impressed by her flawless technique. But Lisa was learning, just like she always did. Each time Veltara attacked, Lisa paid attention to more than just where the strikes came from. She listened to the sounds, felt the air movements, watched for the tiny visual distortions that happened when someone phased in and out of solid matter. Slowly, a pattern began to emerge. Veltara wasn't completely random in her attacks. She favored certain angles and distances. More importantly, she always phased back into the same spots, places where the arena's energy field was strongest. Lisa began moving toward the center of the arena, where multiple energy conduits met beneath the floor. If her theory was right, Veltara was using the arena's own power systems to fuel her phasing ability. The Nexari fighter needed to be near energy sources to maintain her quantum state. The next time Veltara attacked, Lisa was ready. Instead of trying to hit the Nexari fighter directly, she fired her plasma rifle at the floor where the energy conduits were buried. The blast cracked the arena surface and sent electrical feedback through the power grid. Veltara materialized, suddenly stumbling as her phasing ability flickered and failed. For the first time in the fight, she looked surprised and worried. "Impossible," Veltara said, trying to phase again. But her body only became half-transparent before snapping back to solid form. "How did you know?" "Lucky guess," Lisa lied, moving closer while Veltara was still disoriented. But the Nixari fighter recovered quickly. She might not be able to phase properly, but she was still fast and dangerous. Her energy claws extended to their full length as she prepared for direct combat. What followed was a more traditional fight, with both opponents staying solid. Veltara was quicker than Lisa, but she wasn't used to sustained combat. Her fighting style depended on hit-and-run attacks, not prolonged battles. Lisa used the same tactics that had worked against Thexvar: patience, observation, and gradual pressure. She let Veltara exhaust herself with fancy attacks, then struck back when openings appeared. Every exchange taught her more about how the Nixari fighter moved and thought. The turning point came when Veltara tried to phase one more time, hoping her ability had recovered. But Lisa had damaged more than just one power conduit. Her plasma shots had disrupted the entire energy grid beneath that section of the arena. Veltara's phasing attempt failed catastrophically. Instead of becoming ghost-like, her body became stuck halfway between solid and phased states. She screamed in pain as her quantum field collapsed, leaving her dizzy and vulnerable. Lisa moved in quickly, putting her plasma rifle against Veltara's chest. "Surrender," she said quietly. "Your phasing ability is broken. You can't win like this." Veltara looked into Lisa's eyes and saw only determination. The human had found a way to neutralize her greatest advantage, just like she had done with Thexvar. After a long moment, Veltara raised her hand and tapped the surrender signal. "Victory to the human competitor, Lisa Martinez," the referee announced. The crowd's reaction was different this time. Instead of shock and confusion, there was genuine excitement. The aliens were beginning to understand that they were watching something special. A fighter who could adapt to any opponent and find ways to win against impossible odds. In the human section, Ambassador Cross was talking rapidly into her communication device. "Yes, I'm serious. She won again. Lisa Martinez just defeated a Nixari phase shifter. Earth stock is rising by the hour." Dr. Hayes was busy taking notes on his tablet. "The other aliens are studying her techniques now. They want to understand how humans think and fight. This could change everything for our species." Lisa walked off the arena floor, tired but victorious. 2 fights down, 2 more to go. Each opponent would be harder than the last, but she was learning something important about herself and her species. Humans might not have natural armor like the Valorians or quantum abilities like the Nixari, but they had something equally valuable: the ability to analyze problems, adapt solutions, and never give up until they found a way to win. As she headed back to her quarters to prepare for the next fight, Lisa allowed herself a small smile. The galaxy was starting to take notice of humanity, and she intended to give them something worth remembering. The final day of the tournament had arrived. Lisa stood in her quarters looking at herself in the mirror. Her face was covered in small scars from her previous fights. Her left arm was still weak from being broken, but her eyes were bright and determined. She had fought 3 more battles since defeating Veltara. Each opponent had been different and dangerous in their own way. Graktor the Korthak Berserker could heal from almost any wound, and felt no pain. Lisa had won by making him so angry that he exhausted himself attacking shadows and illusions she created using the arena's light systems. Her semi-final opponent had been Zorath, a crystalline being who could control gravity itself. Lisa had studied the arena's structure for hours, learning how the artificial gravity worked. When Zorath tried to crush her by increasing gravity around her body, Lisa had used the arena's own gravity generators to create a feedback loop that shattered her opponent's crystal form. Now she faced the final fight. Her opponent was Zixandra, an ancient ethereal who had been fighting in tournaments for over 1,000 years. The ethereals were beings of pure energy, who could manipulate electricity, magnetism, and radiation with their thoughts alone. Jake Morrison sat with Lisa as she prepared her equipment. "The entire galaxy is watching this fight," he said. "Our communications people say that species who weren't even in the tournament are tuning in to see what happens." "No pressure," Lisa said, with a tired smile. She was exhausted from 4 days of fighting, but she had come too far to quit now. Ambassador Cross knocked on the door and entered with Dr. Hayes and the rest of the human team. Everyone looked nervous but excited. Lisa, whatever happens out. There, you've already done something incredible, Ambassador Cross said. Earth has gained more respect in the past week than we could have earned in decades of diplomacy. The other species are calling your fighting style the human way, Dr. Hayes added. They've never seen anyone adapt and overcome disadvantages the way you do. Lisa stood up and checked her weapons one final time. For this fight, she carried not just her plasma rifle and combat knife, but also several pieces of equipment that her human engineers had built specifically for fighting energy beings. Time to go, she said. The arena was more crowded than it had ever been. Aliens from species that hadn't sent fighters to the tournament had traveled across the galaxy just to watch the final match. The noise from the crowd was deafening as Lisa walked onto the arena floor. Zixandra was waiting for her in the center of the fighting area. The ethereal looked like a tall humanoid figure made of shifting light and electricity. Sometimes she seemed solid. Other times Lisa could see right through her. Energy crackled around her hands and eyes. Greetings, young human, Zixandra said in a voice like distant thunder. I have watched your previous fights with great interest. You show remarkable adaptability for such a short-lived species. Thank you, Lisa said, raising her plasma rifle. I've watched your fights too. You're very skilled. I have been fighting since before your species discovered fire, Zixandra replied. I do not wish to hurt you more than necessary. Surrender now, and I will make your defeat quick and painless. I appreciate the offer, Lisa said. But I didn't come this far to give up in the finals. The crystal referee appeared between them. This is the final match of the Grand Melee. Combat begins in 10 seconds. Lisa's heart was beating fast, but her mind was calm. She had spent hours studying everything the humans knew about ethereal physiology. They were beings of pure energy, but that energy had to come from somewhere. Like Veltara's phasing ability, Zixandra's power had to have a source. Begin combat, the referee announced. Zixandra immediately unleashed a bolt of pure electricity at Lisa. The human dove to the side, feeling the energy sizzle past her head. Where the bolt hit the arena wall, it left a smoking crater. Lisa fired her plasma rifle, but the energy beam passed harmlessly through Zixandra's shifting form. The ethereal laughed and sent another lightning attack, this one splitting into 3 separate bolts that came at Lisa from different angles. Lisa rolled behind one of the arena's energy barriers, using it as cover. But Zixandra simply absorbed the barrier's power, making herself brighter and stronger. This was not going to work like her previous fights. For the next 10 minutes, Lisa ran and dodged while Zixandra attacked with increasing power. Lightning bolts, magnetic fields that tried to crush Lisa's armor, and waves of radiation that made her skin burn. The ethereal seemed to have unlimited energy, but Lisa was watching and learning, just like always. She noticed that Zixandra's attacks were strongest near certain parts of the arena, the same areas where the power conduits ran beneath the floor. The ethereal was drawing energy from the arena's systems, just like Veltara had done with her phasing. But there was something else. When Zixandra used her most powerful attacks, Lisa could see tiny fluctuations in the arena's lighting. The ethereal wasn't just using the arena's power, she was overloading it. Lisa stopped running and started moving toward the arena's main power junction. It was located directly beneath the center of the fighting floor, where all the energy conduits met. If she could reach it, she might be able to turn Zixandra's strength against her. Running toward me instead of away? Zixandra asked, gathering energy for her most devastating attack yet. How refreshingly brave. I'm not running toward you, Lisa said, pulling out the special equipment her engineers had built. I'm running toward that. She pointed at the floor, beneath Zixandra's feet, where the main power junction was hidden. Then Lisa activated the device in her hands, an electromagnetic pulse generator designed specifically for this moment. The EMP blast disrupted every electronic system in the arena. The lights flickered and died. The energy barrier sparked and failed. Most importantly, the power conduits beneath the floor overloaded and exploded. Zixandra screamed as her energy source was suddenly cut off. Without the arena's power to sustain her, she began to fade and flicker like a dying light bulb. Her form became unstable, shifting between solid and energy states. Impossible, Zixandra gasped, her voice growing weaker. You cannot defeat energy itself. I'm not fighting energy, Lisa said, walking closer with her plasma rifle ready. I'm fighting you, and you need power from somewhere else to stay strong. The arena's emergency lighting came on, casting everything in dim red light. Zixandra was now barely visible, her form flickering like a candle in the wind. She tried to attack one more time, but only managed to produce a few weak sparks. Lisa raised her plasma rifle and aimed it at the ethereal's fading form. Surrender. You're too weak to continue fighting. Zixandra looked at Lisa with something that might have been respect. In 1,000 years of combat, no one has ever found a way to neutralize my power source. You truly are remarkable, young human. The ancient ethereal raised her hand and tapped the surrender signal against the arena floor. Victory to the human competitor, Lisa Martinez, the referee announced. Lisa Martinez is the champion of this year's Grand Melee. The arena exploded in noise unlike anything Lisa had ever heard. Thousands of aliens from dozens of different species were cheering, roaring, singing, and making sounds she couldn't identify. Many of them were calling her name. A platform rose from the arena floor, carrying Lisa up toward the floating seats where the tournament officials waited. In their hands was the championship banner, a piece of cloth covered in symbols from every species in the galactic community. As Lisa took the banner in her hands, she thought about everything that had brought her to this moment. A week ago, she had been just another human soldier. Now she was the champion of the galaxy's greatest fighting tournament. Ambassador Cross was crying tears of joy in the human section. Dr. Hayes was furiously taking notes while Kate Williams and Frank Chen hugged each other. Jake Morrison stood at attention and saluted as Lisa held the banner above her head. But the most important moment came when the alien officials approached her. They represented dozens of different species, and they all looked at Lisa with genuine respect. Champion Martinez, said the lead official, a tall being with blue skin and 4 arms. Your victory has shown the galaxy that humans are a species worthy of respect and partnership. Earth will be welcomed as a full member of the Galactic Council. Lisa looked out at the crowd of cheering aliens, then back at the banner in her hands. She had done more than win a tournament. She had proven that humans belonged among the stars. Thank you, Lisa said. But I didn't do this alone. I did it for all of humanity. As she stood there holding the championship banner, Lisa Martinez knew that this was just the beginning. Earth's future among the stars was now bright with possibility, and she had helped make it happen by showing the galaxy what humans could accomplish when they refused to give up. The banner felt heavy in her hands, but it was a good kind of heavy. It was the weight of hope, respect, and a future full of endless possibilities for the human race.